You're welcome.
So, we'll be dedicating forgiveness today. I know you've been married for over 20 plus years, so you have experience in forgiveness.
Yeah,
because that's the only way your marriage will get up to 20 plus years. Forgiveness is a bunch in it. So we'll be talking about forgiveness today. We'll talk about marriage, how it has been, and how does it work. We'll talk about relationship, like some questions I have to ask here. Then we discuss about it, like what is your take on what you believe it is. And also, viewers, also know this is our opinion. We're not saying it's the conclusion, but it's our own opinion that we want you to know. So it is not a final say, but we want you to get to know our own opinion. So right now, I'm going to ask Ms. Gina, what do you think about forgiveness?
I think forgiveness is something that everyone should possess within themselves.
Okay.
I think when you forgive people, it actually gives you peace of mind. It also
Right.
gives those that you're forgiving peace of mind as well.
Right.
As far as yourself, it gives you peace of mind. It also kind of takes any of that worry or that heavy weight off your chest,
Right.
your shoulders. You're not carrying that. And it's just an unnecessary weight when you don't forgive people.
Yeah, because you have to see the people every day. So
Absolutely.
when you see them, your blood pumps up. Your heart starts beating really fast. And, okay, let this person just get it. So actually, it's even for your own self, according to what you're saying, for your own self. So we're going to talk about it in relationship. Relationship is hard. Definitely hard. So it's not an easy thing that people just say. There's a lot of work to be done. So let's talk about forgiveness in relationship. How important do you think relationship and forgiveness in relationship is?
Again, if you don't forgive, you're not going to have a successful relationship, regardless of who the relationship is with.
Okay.
Whether it's your partner, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your spouse, your
Right.
children, your co-workers, your parents,
Right.
aunts, uncles. So forgiveness is, to me, it's one of the most important things that you're going to have in a relationship, and you have to have it in a relationship.
In order for a relationship to succeed.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
So we're going to go now to marriage. I know many people that are married. I don't think marriage will work out without forgiveness. I don't see the possibility of that. Why? Because you have a lot of things that will come up that will need that forgiveness in order for you to move on. Because if you don't forgive, moving on is hard. So in marriage, how important is it? Like, is it, okay, you have head, hand, and leg. Where will you put forgiveness in marriage?
Again, this goes at the top of the list.
Top of the list, okay.
Head. Again, if you can't forgive, again, if one husband been married 20 plus years, we've been together 24 years. And that's it is a lot of time. Yes, of course, we need a lot of forgiveness. But that goes both ways because we're not perfect.
Right.
And the part is, and again, speaking clearly, or specifically from a moral standpoint,
Right.
if you don't forgive each other, you're not going to allow each other to be able to communicate with each other.
Okay.
You're going to shut down. And so communication is a huge part of forgiveness as well.
So, in order for you to actually really forgive, communication has to be.
Absolutely.
But there's some people who can forgive and not say anything.
But how that person that you're forgiving, if you didn't tell them, you didn't communicate to them that you're
Oh,
forgiving.
wow. So you have to actually tell them.
In some cases, you absolutely do. And sometimes communication is not necessarily verbal. Sometimes it's in your actions. So communicating as far as, okay, maybe I didn't tell you that I forgave you, right? Let's say I didn't tell you that I forgave you.
Right.
But I continue doing the things I knew you would do. So if I did something extra for you, let's say I went out and, I don't know, picked up something I know he loves as far as his favorite dessert. If I didn't make it, I didn't actually pick it up for him.
Yes.
And maybe that was my way of showing him that I forgave him versus me communicating to him.
Right.
But again, we do communicate with each other. So, but again, for in those cases where people don't, sometimes again, it's not the verbal communication, but it's like the action. Absolutely. From the communication.
Okay, so when you can definitely get into a fight, there's no way that you're not going to have argument or disagree on something. So how do you handle it with your heart of forgiveness? How do you handle it?
Me personally? Yes. So this is kind of like how I'm wired. And I'm not wired like a lot of people are.
Okay. Because I know that. I actually know that, yes.
In doing that, even though somebody may say or do something that really bothers me, right?
Right.
And I'm going to say to that person, okay, you know what? I forgive you.
Right.
Sometimes maybe I don't have to do it that way, but I don't internalize it. If that makes sense.
Okay.
And some things, of course, you can't help but internalize because, again, if it's your children and family or somebody you're around all the time, of course, you can't avoid that person because you're always going to be right there.
Right.
So those things, for me, okay, now what? We got to talk about this. Let's figure out what happened. What do we need to do? How do we get past this? And sometimes just a matter of listening to people. So in listening to people, again, it's back to communication.
Right. So communication
It's key. Yeah, but you have to listen to people. It's not always talking to people. Everybody's always heard that you have two ears and one mouth. So you should listen twice as much as you talk. So in doing that, you really do need to listen to a person because sometimes what they're telling you is different from what they're actually saying to you. So then they're saying one thing that means what you're hearing, but when you listen to them, you kind of get in tune with them, you can realize that, okay, you know what, this is what they're saying, but this is what they probably really mean, and based on their actions. So you just you don't take it personal. When things are personal, of course you do, but you still have to find a way to forgive that person so that you can get past it and they can get past it, because otherwise you're going to lose sleep. You're not going to be able to eat. You're going to end up being stressed. You're going to have health issues. So you have to have forgiveness.
Yeah. So, what if something happened that you were so upset about? Both of you upset. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Both of you upset, and right now you are willing to forgive and talk about it. He's not willing to forgive and talk about it. So, at that stage, what do you do? How do you handle that?
So again, this is me personally.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that doesn't really happen with us.
Okay.
Right? But we're also not perfect. But let's
Yeah.
say if it were to happen, again, I have to kind of know his personality.
Okay.
So if I'm willing to forgive and he's not, I have to kind of give him space until he is ready. I'm not going to ignore him. I am still going to kind of do those things I normally would do. I am still going to say good morning. I am going to say, the things I normally would say.
Right.
And even though he may not be in that space where he's ready to forgive yet,
Right.
I'm not going to change my actions towards him.
Oh wow.
And you have to give a person time. Just because you're there, it doesn't mean the other person is going to be there when you are. So you have to give a person their space. But again, it's about also knowing them to know what they need to get that space.
So knowing the kind of person, being that we're talking about marriage and forgiveness on it,
Yes.
so you have to really understand the person, because sometimes the person has even forgiven you, but the person still in space,
Right.
because forgiveness sometimes doesn't mean you forget what has happened.
That's right.
So if the person still wants space, or what you're saying, you give the person the space that the person needs, being that you know the personality of the person.
Correct.
Because sometimes where is mixed up is because you've forgiven the person, you just want things to pick up from where it stops immediately. But sometimes personality comes to check that.
That's right.
No,
it's not going to work that way.
let's have time. Some can actually pick up and just, okay.
Right.
That's where personality comes in. Some can pick up and just start from where they start, but some they need time to maneuver. And okay, so we're gonna go to those who are not married. We'll go back and forth on that.
Okay.
So those in a relationship, being that you're in a relationship, you're trying to know the person. It's different from when you're married. Okay, we're in this together. Like you're committed to the person. Relationship, you can be committed, but not 100% because you're not married.
Right.
So in that stage, how does forgiveness play? How does it play at that time, like you say, in relationship?
Again, so in my opinion, of course, that's a little bit different because
Right.
again, you're dating, and it also depends on where you are in the dating process. Did you just meet this person? You just started going out with them? So, and if that's the case, you don't know each other's personalities yet.
Right.
And a person's only going to show you what they want you to see initially anyway, and it
Yes,
goes both ways.
absolutely, yes.
And it goes both ways. So until you get to really know what that person's true personality is
Right.
and their true needs
is kind of difficult to understand and to get to that point where you're able to forgive them because you don't know necessarily what their needs are or to allow them to forgive you.
Right. Because sometimes in a relationship, you see, even though it's a relationship, both parties are together. One is more forgiving than the other. Forgiving, letting go. Okay, maybe this is who he is, or this is who she is. But at a point, it creates an imbalance in the relationship. Look as if one person is the one doing the whole thing, being that, okay, I'm just going to let this go. The other person is not. So what would you say to such person? Because definitely in a relationship, one person gives higher.
Right.
50-50, I don't think it exists. But at least somebody can give 60, the other can give 40 to make 100.
Right.
So that stage where you know you're in a relationship, because sometimes you can be in a relationship, you have self-denial about the relationship you are. You just know that you are the one doing it. So to that person now, being that, okay, maybe we'll give an example, you've been in a relationship for a year, at least you have time to be with the person. In the relationship, you find out that you are the one doing more of the forgiveness than the other person. What do you do at that stage?
So that's when you have to realize what's more important to you. Are you okay with you being the one forgiving all the time?
Right.
My opinion, not a healthy relationship to be in. So why stay in the relationship?
Okay.
Now, if you all, again, back to communication.
Right.
If you all communicate with each other, and also, which I haven't brought up yet, is also having that mutual respect for one another.
That's it.
But you also have to understand that some people, everybody has a strength, and everybody also has a weakness, right?
Right.
So maybe the strength for you is the ability to forgive.
Right.
And
Yeah,
the
some
other
people have
person-
that strength. Really.
Yes.
Some
And
do.
then the other person's strength may be something else.
Right.
So although you may find yourself forgiving all the time, but it starts to bother you because the other person is not forgiving.
Right.
It depends on how much that weighs for you. It's
Right.
like, okay, you know what? I'm always forgiving Gina,
Mhm.
but she never forgives me.
Right.
And she's not perfect either, because again, as women, that's what we kind of do, right?
Right. Right.
We kind of compare each other versus trying to find our mutual, how can I put this best? The things that we kind of have in common.
Right.
We tend to kind of focus on the other things.
Mhm.
So again, if your strength is forgiveness, then if my strength is something else, but you
Right.
also know, let's talk about it and let's see if I can, okay, you know what, you're right. I really don't, I have a hard time forgiving people.
Right.
But see, what also happens with that is, again, you forgive me, I'm not forgiving you. By you forgiving me, you've gone on and moved on to the next thing.
Right. And
I'm
you're
still
still
stuck in
there.
the past.
Right.
I'm still stuck in the past.
Yeah.
So you're going to continue to grow and prosper because you're not stuck in the past. You are focusing on the present and the future, which
Right.
is something you can do something about.
Mhm.
I'm stuck in the past, and I'm never going to be able to grow
Mhm.
in any way because I'm still stuck in the past and I can't let that go.
Yeah, but that could bring a friction in the relationship,
Absolutely.
and that could make the relationship not even move forward.
Absolutely.
Because it depends. Because some people, it becomes a big challenge.
Right.
Like, because you can't be giving and not receiving. It's
No.
kind of that's you can do that for some time, but
Right.
not a long time that you can do that. So for the person in that state right now, as you said before, it's not healthy relationship. If that person is in that stage at that time, we're not saying the person should leave the relationship because it's not healthy,
Correct.
but they could have a communication about it to see, oh, okay, we need to talk about this because how are you going to be married without even forgiveness? How is it going to work or something?
Right.
Because bigger issues are going to come. But if the person is still stuck in holding on, because there are some people who really know how to hold on to things.
That's right.
So at that state, because there could be people out there looking, watching the show right now, who are really stuck in that situation that they are the ones that really bring out, they are the ones that comes to forgive. They are the ones that really do all the working of forgiveness. And the other person is just sitting like, it's not my business. She knows how to forgive, so I don't care. They just want to move on. So that person, don't change because of that person. The person may not appreciate you, but there's somebody out there who would definitely appreciate the kind of person that you are. It is painful and it is sad to be in that kind of relationship, but don't change. Don't change your personality. That's the advice we'll give from this show because you have someone who doesn't really forgive.
Right.
So, Ms. Gina, we're going to talk about the person on the other side
Okay.
that doesn't forgive. What damage is the person doing to himself?
that person who doesn't forgive, and again, they're still stuck in the past,
Right.
again, I've known people like that.
I've had a lot of people like that too.
And actually, on a personal note, I know a couple of people who are like that.
Okay.
Those people are having health issues.
Wow.
Those people are having relationship issues. Because, and it's not even necessarily with the people that they haven't forgiven, even as far, you're still carrying that damaged baggage
Right.
that you were holding on to.
Right.
And in some cases, they don't even realize they're carrying it into the next relationship.
Yeah.
And again, that relationship is not necessarily just with a mate.
Mm-hmm.
That relationship could just be with your children.
Right.
Because you're so upset and holding on to something that happened in the past that has absolutely nothing to do with those kids.
Right.
Now you're still taking those things out on the kids.
Right.
So you're walking around a little angry, whether you show it or not, and whether you realize it or not. So again, you're causing health issues to yourself because you're stressed unnecessarily.
Yes, definitely.
You're probably losing sleep and don't know why.
On the thing.
Yeah, and you're like, you know what? Why can't I sleep at night? You know,
Right.
I'm not doing anything. Well, you don't realize that you are
What
still
you're
holding
holding
on to.
on your
Right.
heart.
Right.
Right. And I read when I was going through research for forgiveness, when you have a health issue, that you have high blood pressure, it doesn't matter who even hurts you, especially when it's personal. It may not be relationship-wise. It could be a coworker that you have to see every day. That is more damaging because
Absolutely.
someone that you stay with at home, you see the person when you get home.
Right.
But when it's your coworker, it's different. Why? Because you have to do the person all the time. You have to talk to the person regardless because you have to do your job. That's why you're being paid
Absolutely.
to do your job. So for that person, the health is going to be a challenge.
Right.
Absolutely, because you're seeing the person, your heart is racing all the time. Then we're going to talk about parents and children in forgiveness.
Okay.
Children hurt parents a lot.
Right.
Without knowing and knowing, parents are. So how do you handle it as a mother when your children do something that you don't like that really hurt you? Okay, let's talk about the one that they know, but you who have sometimes kind of made them do it, because sometimes they're young,
Right.
they make mistake and all of
Right.
that, but their mistake could hurt you. Why? Because you know better. So how do you handle that?
So again, you're going to get tired of me saying this word, but it goes back to communication. So you have to meet the child where they are, regardless of their age,
Okay.
right? So let's say they're 4 years old.
Right.
And when they're at home, they're good, they're sweet, they're well behaved, they're the life of the party, always laughing and joking. They go to school and they're acting out. They're biting other kids or they're hitting
Right.
other
Especially
kids
when you
at
receive a
4.
call.
Right, exactly. And you don't understand what's going on.
Right.
And it hurts you as a parent if those things are happening. It's like, well, wait a minute. At home, you know, this is not happening.
You're different.
Right. But then I keep getting these calls from the school, so now I'm hurt. I'm embarrassed.
Right.
So then you go to the school and you hear from the teachers or the principals or both
Right.
as far as what actually happened.
Mhm.
Then when you bring the child home, you have to communicate with them because you need to find out what is happening. Okay, why did you bite
Right.
Debbie?
What made
You know?
you this angry that you had to?
Yeah. Why
act
did
that way?
you hit her? Why did you knock her papers off her desk? You know, and so you have to kind of communicate, but you cannot do it raising your voice
Okay.
because you have to communicate with them. Well, adults as well, but right now specifically children.
Right.
You cannot talk at them.
Mhm.
You have to talk to them.
Okay.
And so you have to do it when you can. Everybody can't do this. But when you can, you have to talk to them in a nice, calm voice so that they will respond back to you and
Okay.
not act towards you.
Okay.
And sometimes it could be that they're nervous in the classroom.
Right.
And that's the way that it comes out. That's how it kind of manifests itself versus them just talking about it or telling you or telling the teacher. There could be a kid bullying them.
Okay.
And again, versus the kid could be threatening them.
Right.
So versus them being comfortable and telling the teacher, this little
Person
boy here
did that.
told me,
Mhm.
yeah, you know, if I go and tell the teacher, he's gonna punch me in
Yeah.
the face. So again, even with children, regardless of what the situation is, it still goes back to communication. And again, if you keep getting those calls, you know, as a parent, you're going to be angry.
Right.
It's going to be, okay, what did I, at some point, then you're going to start doubting yourself, okay, what did I do
What
wrong?
did you do wrong?
Yeah,
Right.
so again, once you communicate with that child on their level
Right.
and find out from them, okay, what happened, what's going on, and you kind of, and you can't do it, maybe you do need to go talk to someone else. Maybe it's going to having that child to go to a counselor
Okay.
and speak with them if you're not equipped to be able
to talk to your
if
child.
you're more like reactive, and you're yelling at them, raising your voice and shouting.
Some could
Child
get
can
very.
hear
Some
you.
parents could get very angry.
Right.
that
Right.
They can handle like, how would you do this? Especially when your child, you know, your child is very good,
Right.
and you're hearing the report like, what
Mhm.
did you just? That's the opposite of
Yes.
your child.
Yes.
It's like it's annoying, and you actually hear the call. You go there, you see the child, and the child is hurt. Like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, unbelievable.
Yeah.
So I know it's tough.
Yeah.
It's
Now the
really
flip
tough.
side to that, though, because we're talking about a little child,
Mhm.
but see, just because a child is now 20, they're still your child.
Right.
So now we're talking an adult child.
Right.
So in that instance, you know, how do you handle it? If this child is forever going out and doing something. And the same thing over and over again, and it's extremely hurtful to you, and you're angry with them, and so you're carrying it around in your heart, how do you get to the point of being able to forgive them? It still kind of goes back to the same thing. It's still, you need to communicate and find
So
okay,
what if
is
you
really
do?
bothering this person?
What if you do
Mhm.
and that doesn't work?
Mhm.
What are you going to do
At some point,
as an adult? As an adult child.
yes. So at some point, you still have to at least try to
Okay.
communicate with them, keep the lines of
Okay.
communication open,
Okay.
although you're angry
Right.
with them. You have to at least just try, just keep
Mm-hmm.
trying, letting them know that you do still love them, regardless of what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Showing respect for them, even if you definitely don't agree with, don't approve,
Right.
you still have to show them that love.
Okay.
And again, at some point, definitely have to pray. I mean, I shouldn't
Yeah,
have
of
said that.
course.
That should have been the very first thing that I said, right?
Mhm.
You definitely have to pray and keep praying, and you never stop praying, which you don't anyway. You start that when they're in the womb, and
Yeah.
that never stops.
Yeah, we're going to come back to
Yes.
prayer in
Yes.
God, but we just want to
Yes,
clear
but
this out
communication.
first. Communication.
Yes.
So let's go back to
Mhm.
you being married, your husband.
Yes.
Personally, some things that he does. Okay, when we're talking today, we talked about your husband.
Mhm.
Your husband said, men forgive most. That's amazing to me. Like, what? What did I hear?
Right.
Okay, so that blew my mind to
Mhm.
know that men forgive the most than
Uh-huh.
women.
Mhm.
So you were explaining something. What is your take on that?
So I agree with him,
Okay.
based on my experiences. And I
Okay.
do tend to see women, we will carry things.
Wow.
And we will hold grudges, and we will just, and we just do by nature.
Women are nurture. They nurture stuff. That's
Yeah.
why we have a womb to carry children.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. But we tend to carry things. Men, and I will be honest with you and share this, and my husband probably would be upset. No, he won't, because he just talked to you.
Yes, he did
just
talk
talked
to me. Yes,
So
he
just a
did.
prime example. Him and at least two of his, or one brother in particular, right?
Okay.
Who, you know, unfortunately is in heaven now. But that
Mhm.
particular brother was always the life of the party.
Okay.
But the two of them,
Mhm.
they're on the phone. They're talking constantly every day, several times a day. They're calling the phone. They're talking to each other. Next thing you know, I hear my husband raising his voice. Then I can hear the brother raising his voice.
Mhm.
They're mad at each other. They hang up the phone. 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later,
Okay.
they can call each other and alley that never happened because they
Wow.
don't hold it.
Oh,
It was
I
just
see.
there, kind of like their style of
Yeah.
communication. So men are more forgiving. That's just one example that I'm giving
Okay.
you. But just in general, women, we do tend to hold on to things longer than men do.
Wow.
And again, in his case, as he shared with you,
Mhm.
you know, in his case, my case, and a lot of people, it does kind of come from how you were raised,
How you
what
were
you
raised.
observed with your parents.
Yeah.
If you see your parents being forgiving, you tend to be more forgiving as well.
Right.
If you see your parents constantly holding on to grudges
To
of
things,
things that happen with
right.
other people,
Mhm.
then sometimes you're kind of like a product of your environment, so you
Right.
kind of tend to do the same thing.
That's very correct.
Mhm.
But do parents teach their children? From what you're saying, that starts with parents.
Mhm.
You know, men sometimes, parents tend to focus on their daughters
Mhm.
more than their sons,
Mhm.
which I think that's a mistake, because at the end of the
Absolutely.
day, the man has a lot to do, because
Absolutely.
if the men are raised really well,
Mhm.
some things will happen.
Mhm.
So, for parents, do parents really have time to like call their children, let them know, especially when an issue happened
Mhm.
and it demands forgiveness
Mhm.
and maybe, okay, let's give an example.
Mhm.
Your parents now, like your husband was telling me about
Mhm.
his parents, the way they're very forgiving. So
Mhm.
he doesn't even have a choice. Why? Because that's the way he was raised.
Mhm.
He's gonna grow up like that, directly or indirectly.
Mhm.
So he saw his parents like forgive people and let them know. Do they really do that these days?
Mhm.
Where you see parents who call their children to let them know this issue just happened.
Mhm.
This is what you need to learn.
Mhm.
Do parents really do that?
And again, that probably depends on the individuals. So, and again, I'm not perfect, so don't think that that's what I'm implying. But just as an example, I mean, my example is my children.
Mhm.
So with them, I tend to do the same thing with them.
Okay.
Something that, again, could be petty, right?
Right.
Let's say it's my daughter's birthday,
Okay.
and someone did not call her on her birthday, right?
Get back.
A family member didn't call her on her birthday, a cousin.
I get it.
So, but I know that, but she didn't say anything about it.
Mhm.
So that very next month is that cousin's birthday, and I said, "Hey,
Call.
I said you need to call or at least send them a text." She
Right.
said, and this is a true story. This actually happened, and she said, "Am I being petty?" I said, "Don't even finish the rest of it, because I'm not going to allow you to." Yes, if you have to ask that question, you already know. Yes, it would be petty if you don't reach out to them,
Right, because you're trying to do what you need to do.
You know the right thing to do because we've instilled that in you.
Wow.
We're not responsible for other people's actions, and
Right.
so if it wasn't instilled in them,
Mhm.
that's not my issue.
That's
This
right.
is instilled in you, so we have taught you this. So yes, it would be petty. So no, you do not acknowledge their birthday just because they forgot yours, because you can't fault them for that.
Right.
So again, it depends on the situation. In that particular situation, I know the parents did not remind because the kids would have done it.
Right.
But our part, we did our part, and we said,
Right.
okay, hey, yeah, you need to make sure you do X, Y, Z, and she did it.
Yeah.
And so, and the same with my son. You know, so I have a son and a daughter, and my daughter is the oldest. So
Okay.
again, we spend the same amount of time with both. I know you said that
Right.
parents do typically spend more time
Time
with
with
the daughters,
daughters.
raising them to a certain extent. But it's equally important that regardless to the gender of the child, that you
Right.
have to spend and instill in both or all five, depending on how many children,
Children
you
you have,
have.
yes.
You have to instill that, you have to make the time to instill that in them, yes. So I can't say again for sure, globally, that parents are still doing that. I can just speak for our example.
Right.
But yes, it's extremely important that never stops. Because
Okay.
as part of helping this next generation
Mhm.
evolve into forgiving adults.
Yeah, because if you see the society today,
Mm-hmm.
we have so much hate and
We do.
bitterness because there's lack of forgiveness.
Right.
I want to pay you back.
Mhm.
You want to pay me back, and that's how we've come to this place today. So if forgiveness is taught in homes,
Mhm.
that you don't retaliate
Mhm.
because somebody you don't avenge what somebody does to you.
Right.
As children start growing up knowing that,
Mhm.
the world will be a better place
Mhm.
today.
I agree.
Husband will treat their wife better. Wife will treat their husband better. Why? Because they already have a training to forgive.
Mhm.
So we're gonna go now to parents.
Mhm.
You talked about prayer
Mhm.
for forgiveness. In as much as it's a deliberate act that you do,
Mhm.
God needs to help you to really know how to forgive people.
Right.
Because viewers, it can get so painful that even if you want to forgive the person, it takes God to help you. There's some hurt that is really severe, that is really serious, that it only takes God to help you go through that moment and for you to forgive that person. So now I want to talk about forgiveness, how God sees it, and even if it's our responsibility, we still need to ask for His help for us to be able to do it. You talked about prayers. You need to pray like for your children, even for your husband, especially when things go wrong.
That's right.
That even if you have to deliberately forgive. So what do you have to say about that?
I completely agree with that. My thing is people tend to, and again, some people, right,
Right.
they will go and pray when they need something,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And they'll pray when things are going bad. But the thing is, you need to pray even when things are going good
Right.
and when things are going great. Because
Right.
it is because, by belief, it is because of God that you are in that position or in that situation that you're
Right.
in.
That's correct.
So, yeah, so I think that prayer definitely is key.
Mhm.
And also it's being instilled in the children as well.
Yes.
But yeah, it's key.
It's key.
Yeah.
So for people, not everybody knows how to do that.
Correct.
Not everybody even knows that God exists.
Mhm.
There's some people who don't even recognize God as anything.
Mhm.
But forgiveness, I think the word forgiveness came from God. It's not a man-made stuff.
Mhm.
Because that's where he started. He forgave us, that's why we're here.
That's
And
right.
that's why we have even the word forgiveness
Mhm.
is a godly thing.
Mhm.
Not necessarily for Christian, but for humans,
Mhm.
because it's a God of all flesh.
Mhm.
So for children now to their parents, because sometimes parents hurt children a lot and they don't know.
Mhm.
And they can't talk about it. Not every parent they can communicate with.
Right.
Some parents, they are not just there for their children.
Mhm.
So their children have to deal with a lot of stuff, the way they were hurt
Mhm.
by people around them, even their mother or their father. I had a friend one time who told me about how the mom wanted to kill her. I was wondering, like, how possible is that? She carried you for 9 months, but when she gave me the story,
Mhm.
I was saying, this is not just, she's not making it up.
Mhm.
It's real. I said, well, that's just, so she was really bitter about when you talk about parents, mother, and she doesn't want to hear it.
Mhm.
So that was all got my attention. I said, what is it with you?
Mhm.
So she now told me her story.
Mhm.
So she's an adult now, like a real grown adult.
Mhm.
She still carried that hurt
Mhm.
in there. So things like that, it takes God to really help you because it's so deep.
Mhm.
This is more than a child.
Mhm.
How you, because words alone, telling the person you just have to forgive is not enough. Why? Because it's deep.
Mhm.
So at this time, for this kind of person, we're talking about God in it.
Mhm.
What would you say to that person, to that child, that the mom did something really bad?
Mhm.
We've heard how some mom, they bully their child so bad and they're hurt.
Mhm.
What would you say to such child at that time, at this time? What would you say to that child who's going through this hurt? But the child has to forgive it either ways, so they can be better parents to their own children. What would you say?
So I think in this particular case, I probably would. I definitely would want to talk to her. I want to hear her story.
Mhm.
Now, I want to kind of get to the root of what is the real issue. We know it sounds like it's the mom. It sounds like the mom apparently is angry. But at who? Is it truly at the child, or is it again this holding that the mom has been holding this in, and she is manifesting itself into how she's coming off and treating the child?
Right.
The child doesn't want to hear that though. They don't,
They-
they don't care why.
They just don't know.
Yeah,
They don't.
Yeah. I'm assuming it's a woman.
Yeah, it's a woman.
She
Yeah.
does not care why.
Mhm.
All she knows is I'm hurt because this is the person that gave me life,
Right.
and they want to take my life.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's going to take a lot to get that person through. But I would
Right.
want them to talk. I would want them to, again, kind of tell me what's going on. How do you feel? Why do you feel this way? What do you think could happen that could possibly change your mom? Kind of hear her perspective. What do you think could help your mom
Right.
get past this and cause her to be a better person for your mom? Because apparently your mom is hurt, and
Yeah.
has not forgotten about something, and has not forgiven someone or several people.
Right.
And all that again is what's causing this in you.
Right.
But definitely easier said than done.
Yeah,
But
very.
this friend would have to keep praying for herself to forgive her mother. She's
Right.
never going to forget it.
That's what I
Never
told
gonna
her.
forget
You are
it.
not gonna forget it.
No, but for her own self and for her own health
Right.
and her sanity and for her growth,
Right.
she has to find a way to at least forgive. And even if she can't forgive her mother to her mother,
Mm-hmm.
at least pray to God to find a way to help her to be able to forgive and release
Right.
some of that so that she can kind of grow and so that she can become a better person and
Better
not stay
person.
stuck in that.
Yes.
And she won't forget it, but
Yes, that
yeah,
is
she
that
has
is
to.
that is very, very correct. And
Mhm.
for viewers, some people are in this situation where your parents hurt them so much that they carry that thing for so long that they're so bitter, and they're still mothers, they're still fathers too, their own children, but that heart of their parents is still there. One thing about unforgiveness, it stays with you as long as you accommodate it. The day you let it go, the freer you become, the happier you become, and the better parent that you become for those who are parents. Because sometimes when you're unforgiven, it gives you an attitude that you don't even know. That people around you are the only people to know that something is wrong with this person. Why do you act this way? You know, some people, they just get little things, they just get edgy, like angry, like what is wrong with you?
Right.
So it's that part of unforgiveness that they have inside of them, not knowing that you are bitter.
Right.
I was once like that. I was so bitter that I don't even know that I am.
Right.
So people around me were getting hurt. Like, what is wrong? They had to call me like, what is wrong with you? I said, nothing is wrong. But I was just hurt inside. I had to sit myself down and say, something is wrong with me. Maybe this stuff that I'm holding, that I'm angry about, it's still what is causing this. The day I let it go, I became more happy. And the people around me said, what happened to you? You changed. I said, well, you guys know, but I just made a decision like, okay, this had to go so I can live my life and be happy. So there are many people who have stories on how people hurt you this bad that you are not willing to really let go. And that's the reason for the show, to let people know that forgiveness is a deliberate decision, and it's for your good. It's not for anybody else good, but your good. So you'll be free, you'll be better, you'll be happier. Because when you're happier, you see things better. When you're happier, you see things, you have ideas that you don't even think you have. And God can easily work with you. Why? Because nothing is holding you back. And one thing about unforgiveness, you put it on people all the time. You put it on people. People did this to you. But you that is saying that, do you think about those you have hurt? You know, sometimes people ask for forgiveness.
Right.
And they don't even remember you have hurt somebody else and somebody else
That's right.
forgave you.
That's right.
So why would you be even keeping something? So we're going to talk about you now. You're the one that did something wrong and you need forgiveness. What are you going to do? Like in marriage, you are the one, okay, let's use you as an example. You are the one who hurt your husband and he's so angry. You can be angry, not knowing at that time that you did something wrong. You know, there's a way you can have something, you do something, and you were wrong. It takes you later to know that, okay, I was the one wrong, he's not the one wrong. So what do you do at that time? How do you act?
So, and again, the same thing. If I didn't realize it, and I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
He's still walking here mad, but I didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
But again, if somebody doesn't tell you, like you just said, you don't realize that you did anything wrong. And so let's say if he finally does tell me, well, you know what, when you said, such and such, it really did hurt me. This again true. The whole thing would be, okay, you know what, if I caused him pain, then I do owe him an apology, so I need to apologize to him.
Right.
So that verbal communication, I will apologize to him if I realize I did something wrong.
But there's some people who don't want to.
Because those people, their pride won't let them get in the way. Sometimes people are just so stubborn. And sometimes people honestly just want to play the victim role.
Right.
Somebody's always doing something to me. I never do anything to anyone.
It's my turn.
Yes,
Okay.
but again, until somebody actually brings to their attention who they care about, that makes a difference too.
Yeah.
If it's somebody who really that they truly care about, and that person tells them what they did, maybe then they'll realize that they did do something wrong. That you're okay. You know what? Yeah, this was my fault this time.
Okay.
So at that point, then that person should apologize, but they have to kind of realize that you're not the victim all the time.
Right. So they have another side where you do something to someone, the person is angry, but the person did not tell you. You start seeing the person's behavior acting somehow towards you. So how do you handle that? You didn't know if the person is hurt. Maybe you just say something to someone and the person got offended and the person is really hurt.
Yeah.
But the person start acting up instead of communicating with you, say, oh, I'm hurt, you did this, I didn't like this. So you start seeing action. What do you do at that time?
And see, again, that still goes back to people holding on to things and not forgiving. Because, again, if I'm upset with you because of something that you did 8 years ago, and I'm still holding it, I'm holding that grudge, I'm still angry and I'm bitter, right? And it's staying, it's in my heart, it's in my head, and I haven't let go of that. But at the same time, you're walking around happy-go-lucky.
Absolutely.
And so I'm going to be even more angry with you because
Yeah,
you're
you're happy.
happy.
Mhm.
But again, it's because you didn't hold on to that because it didn't, to you, it was nothing major.
Right.
And you're not realizing that you actually hurt me with that. And I'm not being mature enough to open up my mouth and to say to you, you know what, Debbie, you really did hurt my feelings 8 years ago. Now, mind you, it may seem petty to you because you're going to laugh. You're going to be like, 8 years ago, what did I do?
And people do this.
They do.
It's
They do.
real life.
They absolutely do.
Right.
And they say, 8 years ago, what are you talking about? And you're going to laugh, right?
Mhm. He's
But
funny.
then, yeah, to you it's funny, and I'm getting angrier because all you
Right.
see is my face getting tight and me being angry with you.
Mhm.
And you know, I'm like, well, why are you laughing at me? I'm being serious here. I'm sharing something with you. And so at that point, then you will realize, okay, you
Right.
know what? That really did bother her. But you being the person that you are at that point, then you're going to say, you know what? I didn't realize that bothered you that much.
Right.
Will you forgive me? Or I'm sorry that I hurt you like that. And you saying that is going to lift all the 8 years of stuff I've been carrying. It's gone.
Wow.
Just something, that's how powerful
Forgiveness is.
Mhm.
It's so true. What you said is so true. And to me, I'll tell people, don't hold on grudges. If somebody hurts you, just tell the person, regardless if the person admit it or not. Because one thing, you hold forgiveness to yourself, first of all, before you start looking at other people. Because from the story she just said, so many people are like that. They carried the hurt for 8 years, and now one day we're having a conversation, then you bring back what has happened. Now the person says, okay, I'm sorry, forgive me. If you told me then I would have, or you see the genuineness
Right.
of the person being sorry. You at that time you look stupid like, really? So this is what I've been carrying and
Mhm.
this is it, you know? You would have freed yourself 8 years ago. And maybe you guys would have even had a better relationship because that could make you hold on from the person and withdraw.
But you know what? Not just you two could have had a better relationship. Me and
Right.
all other people could have had
Right.
a better relationship. Because if I
Right.
held on to something that you did 8 years ago,
Right.
then not only am I not necessarily having a good relationship with you, I'm carrying that.
Right.
So it's going to spill over into maybe something that my child does. Again, going back to the whole thing with the
Yeah.
child, you know, the adult child now.
Right.
The same thing, because that doesn't just manifest itself in just that one person
Right.
who caused you.
Yeah,
pain.
it transfers to other people.
Absolutely.
Right,
Absolutely.
right. So, viewers, this is why we having this topic on forgiveness. And today we've been talking about forgiveness in relationship. We have relationship with husband and wife, mother and children, colleagues at work. Even anywhere you go, definitely you have relationship. Don't be someone who hold grudges or keep what people do to you. How long do you want to live? Because that could have longevity. Has to do with you being happy. So you're carrying so many grudges. So many people are going to hurt you. So many people are going to hurt you. That's why Jesus said, when they asked him a question, how many times do you have to forgive people? The response was very disappointing to the people who asked because they were expecting something different.
Right.
Because God knows that people are going to do something to you. Definitely. That's why you're human. And that's the beauty of humanity, imperfect and perfect. So it makes it balance. So how long are you going to carry forgiveness? Because as you keep aging, people are going to keep hurting you. They will harm you. They will talk about you. So definitely you will see it all the time. So how many people are you going to be holding in your little heart? It's just one that we have. We don't have two. So how many years are you going to carry? So forgiveness is very, very important. We're going to come up with our email. If you have your story on forgiveness, you can share it with us, and then I'll get back to you from the email. The email is dominionshow@yahoo.com. It's an easy one. So you can give your story and also your take on it. But we're not doing the live call today. So send me your email or leave your comments on the bottom of the page so we can get to know what you think about it, what your opinion is on this topic today, forgiveness in relationship. So the last question I'm going to ask you, Ms. Jean.
Yes.
Do you read books on maybe marriage, forgiveness? Do they have a lot of books? I've not been seeing a lot of books on forgiveness. Have you read any?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, because
No.
I searched and I was searching like which book really how many people have really written something about forgiveness, which is very needed in our society because people are just too unforgiving. So here I have this book for you coming. Camera, if you can have this. We have this book. I read this book, and it's actually written by Joshua Giller. That's the author of the book. It's talking about marriage. He said, "Oh Lord, help my marriage." And one of the portions here, he talked about forgiveness in marriage. That's the key point for marriage to survive. If there's no forgiveness, the foundation. Where there's love, there's forgiveness, and there's care. So he wrote this book. So let's have it. Is it showing?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the book, Oh Lord, Help My Marriage, since we're talking about relationship. Yes. Let me see. Okay, this is the book. So it's written by Joshua Giller. Actually, that's my general overseer. That's my church. So he wrote this book, and when I read it, I saw forgiveness on it. So I'm going to be giving you one of this. And also for you to be able to get this book, or for those who want to get married, those who are married, and those who want to have a better relationship, this book is very, very important. I've gone through it, and you can get this book at this website, www.croanordamerica.org. That's where you can order this book. It's a very good book. So I'm going to give you this, Miss Gina, for coming today.
Okay, well, thank you.
So this is your copy.
Okay.
So I'll
Thank
get
you.
back to you to know how you enjoyed the book. I have my copy too. So on the wrap up of this show today, all through November, we'll be talking about forgiveness. So you please tune in next week by 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't forget, for those who have different time zones, it's Eastern Standard Time. You can always join us, and we'll be glad you did. Always remember, the best of your life is the rest of your life. See you next week. Go grab your copy. Bye-bye for now.